Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Excise Duty Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2025, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, as members will note, this is a very small bill, or short or brief. It's actually almost our 2, 3, 4 clause bill. And is basically correcting an unintended purpose that came out of the tax amendment laws, or the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024, since now it's already been assented to as an act of parliament, which had imposed duty at a rate of 25% on imported fully assembled electric transformers, classified under tariff numbers 8504, 1000, 8504, 2100, 8504, 2200, 8504, 2300, 8504, 3100, 8504, 3200, and 8504, 3400. And the rationale behind this fiscal measure, Honorable Speaker, was to afford protection to our domestic assemblers or manufacturers of transformers from undue competition from those who are importing fully assembled transformers into the country. And in addition, Honorable Speaker, also to ensure that the government of Kenya and indeed the Ministry of Energy can assure Kenyans of the quality of transformers that are being assembled locally, since those that are assembled locally or manufactured locally will be done consequent to the standards that have been set by the Kenya Bureau of Standards and also international standards, Honorable Speaker. Concurrently, Honorable Speaker, this was also intended to foster job creation in the country and advancement of technology transfer, as we would now be able to assemble and manufacture these transformers locally, therefore creating local jobs. And therefore, the intended imposition of this duty was to protect our local manufacturers and our local industry. Honorable Speaker, during the detailed consideration of the tax laws, the House actually excluded tariff number 8504-9000, which pertains to parts of electrical transformers and static converters, such as rectifiers and inductors, from excise duty. This deliberate exclusion, Honorable Speaker, was undertaken with the express aim of facilitating the local assembly of transformers, a move that, as I have indicated, was intended to also reduce the overall cost of electricity supply to the people of Kenya. And the implication of this decision is that imported parts of electric transformers, which fall under this classification of tariff number 8504-900, are not subject to excise duty. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, this was a commendable measure under the tax laws. However, Honorable Speaker, during implementation of the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024, an issue has now arisen or emerged regarding the application of the new excise duty on transformers. And as currently structured, the tax applies to all imported transformers, regardless of their assembly status upon arrival. And this blanket application undermines the intended protection of local transformer assemblers. Therefore, local transformer assemblers have been left in a quagmire since the classification of this tariff, as I said, applies a blanket application across all imported parts, regardless of the assembly status. And you find, Honorable Speaker, for instance, the tank that carries oil in a transformer is such a component that looks complete, but is part of the whole of the transformer. And indeed, when you are transporting transformers even to assemble, in many instances they are transported unassembled, and you go and assemble them where you are fixing them. And therefore, it has created a problem for people who are importing these unassembled parts. And that is why we have proposed, in consultation with the National Treasury, to do this small amendment to correct that unintended purpose of the tax laws of 2024. Honorable Speaker, specifically importers of components, as I said, that are intended for local assembly, are the ones who are now been faced with these unintended consequences of this law. And these components, despite arriving in a disassembled state, are classified as complete transformers. And that was giving the example of that tank that carries oil that looks like it's part of the, is a complete transformer, but it's just a tank that is a component of the transformer. And definitely under the World Customs tariff classifications and also the East African Community Common External Tariff, there isn't a specific tariff for assembled and unassembled transformers in their classifications. This absence of differentiation reflects the widely accepted practice that transformers are by their very nature and logistical requirements typically transported, as I said, in disassembled parts. Honorable Speaker, the current application of the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024, in conjunction with the existing interpretation rules, presents that unintended consequence that warrants urgent consideration. As excise duty on transformers will increase the cost of supplying electricity to Kenyans, hence impacting negatively on the government agenda on the last mile electricity connectivity. Because, Honorable Speaker, as this unintended consequence would mean then the cost of transformers goes up by at least 25% of that excise duty that was imposed under the tax laws. And this will mean that the program that we have, part of which is also funded by the donor community, on the last mile connectivity, which many members have seen the ministry officials from the Ministry of Energy, and even His Excellency the President commissioning projects around the country on last mile connectivity to ensure that we connect Kenyans, as many Kenyans as possible, to electricity. This will then become more expensive for government and therefore eat up the small resources that we have dedicated or appropriated towards last mile connectivity, and also eat up even the funds that are coming from the donors. Honorable Speaker, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill of 2025 therefore seeks to address this problem by amending the first schedule to the excise duty to remove the excise duty on imported fully assembled electric transformers and parts of tariff codes 8504, 1000, 8504, 2100, 8504, 2200, 8504, 2300, 8504, 3100, 8504, 3200, 8504, 3400 at the rate of 25% that was introduced last year as mentioned. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I want to urge members to support this crucial amendment. As I said, it is intended to benefit the end consumer of electricity, who is the consumer and Kenyans at large, because if the Kenya Power, Ketraco, REREC are buying transformers expensively, that cost will be offloaded to consumers in the tariffs that they pay for their electricity consumption. And therefore, it is only right that we support this bill so that we achieve what was intended. First, to protect the local manufacturers or local assemblers of transformers. Two, spur job creation in the country as people manufacture and assemble those transformers locally. And also, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that there is technology transfer into the country so that we don't just import fully assembled components or transformers. Also, it may be, Honorable Speaker. And this is a policy direction that started, Honorable Speaker, you remember, even with the finance bill last year, that a lot of fully assembled or completed goods being imported to the country, having a policy shift to discourage the importation of fully assembled goods or products, to encourage people to manufacture or assemble such things that can be done locally here in Kenya, so that we create jobs, we make it cheaper, and we also assure Kenyans that the standards that have been used for the manufacture and assembly of any of these items are in line with our own standards and international standards. Honorable Speaker, you know you cannot control the level of manufacturing in other countries, but those within our country, we can be able to control the standards, and we can assure Kenyans of the quality of transformers and indeed any other goods that are manufactured locally. But those that are imported, Honorable Speaker, we may not be able to give that very high assurance as to the level, the standards of such and quality of such imported products. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, urge members to support, and I want to request the chairman of the Finance and National Planning Committee, the Honorable Member for Molo, Kimani Kuria, to second.
Honorable Kimani Kuria.
Honorable Kuria Kimani.
Honorable Kuria Kimani.
You know where we come from, Honorable.
Yes, let me know. Where you come from. I would like to know whether you come from the same place with Kuria Kimani. Give the majority 30 seconds to tell me about where he comes from. I thought it was Kikuyu.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying I beg to move and request the member for Molo to second. I was saying where we come from, Kuria Kimani is Kimani's son, but Kimani Kuria is Kuria's son. So, may I request...
So whose son is the chairman of the Finance Committee?
The chair of the Finance and National Planning Committee, Kuria Kimani, then qualifies to be the son of Kimani. But not this Kimani.
The Honorable Kuria Kimani, you can speak for yourself on this matter.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, our very able majority leader, for moving this excess duty amendment bill. And maybe from where I started, Honorable Speaker, my name is an interesting story. Kimani is not my dad. I am a child of a single mother called Lucy Nduta. But I was named after my grandfather, who was called Francis Kuria Kimani. So when we did registration, when we were doing registration for our KCPE, I used to call myself Francis Kuria Nduta. But I was the only kid in the school who had a female name for a surname. So when now it came to registering for my KCPE, because I'm named after my grandfather called Francis Kuria Kimani, I named myself after my grandfather. So I ended up being Francis Kuria Kimani. So whether you call me Kimani Kuria or Kuria Kimani, it doesn't really matter. Because I'm not a son of Kimani anyway.
Maybe Kimani wanted to claim some credit. So you confirm your Christian name is Francis?
Sorry?
Is your Christian name Francis?
My?
Christian name?
My Christian name is Francis.
Okay, go ahead.
So my name is Francis Kuria Kimani. So whether you call me Wanduta. Yes, and I'd like you to take this chance to pay tribute to that great man, my grandfather, who brought me up, who educated me, who sold everything he had to make sure I had the best education he could afford. Unfortunately, he died during COVID. May his soul rest in eternal peace. In December 2024, Honorable Speaker, this House processed the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024, which introduced 25% excess duty on imported fully assembled electric transformers, while exempting the locally assembled and manufactured transformers, whose excess duty, honorable members, was done with the intention of protecting and promoting local manufacturing. However, it was later to be observed that the intended objective of the amendment was not achieved, as the local industry still does not possess enough capacity to manufacture fully transformers to meet the country's demand. Second, Honorable Speaker, the entities classified as local manufacturers are in reality more of assemblers than manufacturers of all the units required for transformers, Honorable Speaker. Kenya operates under the East African Common Custom External Tariff regime as a member state of East African Community. Under this regime, Honorable Speaker, both fully assembled transformers and their parts fall under the same tariff code. Consequently, the imported parts required for local assembly are also subjected now to 25% excess duty. This has led to a general increase in the cost of transformers across the board, rather than reducing the cost of locally assembled units as originally intended, Honorable Speaker. To explain, Honorable Speaker, in very simple language, in East African tariffs, the ones we call HS codes, whether for transformers or for the single units, the HS codes are the same. So by subjecting now this 25% excess duty to fully imported transformer, Speaker, the unintended purpose then meant even the ones that are doing assembling here in Kenya are now subject to 25% duty. As a result, Honorable Speaker, whether whether you manufacture locally here or you import, the unintended consequence of that amendment is that both these two would attract 25% excess duty, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, this is what we are trying to correct this anomaly, Honorable Speaker. Electricity penetration in Kenya, Honorable Speaker, is reported to be at around 17%. This reflects both grid and off-grid solutions, such as solar home systems. However, even with these impressive rates of penetration and substantial population are still not connected to the national grid. That is why the government initiatives such as the last mile connectivity and investments in renewable energy sources such as geothermal, hydro, and solar are very crucial. For last mile connectivity to succeed, the cost of connection must be to reduce the cost of this transformer, Honorable Speaker, is therefore very, very key and very essential. First is the cost of connection to electricity. Transformers are essential components in the transmission and distribution of electricity. Every customer connected to a national grid relies on a transformer to receive power to their correct voltage and frequency. When a customer applies for electricity, they are either connected to an existing transformer or must fund the installation of a new one. The introduction of this 25% duty on transformers, as per the amendments, as per the Tax Laws Amendment Bill of 2024, has now, of course, led to a direct impact of 25% increase in the cost of electricity, Honorable Speaker. Many people in this House, Honorable Speaker, have witnesses of two things. You probably have a project somewhere, you apply for power connectivity, and you're given an invoice of Kenya Power of 1.something million shillings for that transformer, Honorable Speaker. The other greater problem we have, even in our constituencies, are transformers that have been connected to a constituents only for them to be recalled for being faulty. So you have launched an electricity project, you have assured the people of that particular place that they're going to have electricity, and then a few days later, the transformer is faulty, and it takes so long, Honorable Speaker, for that transformer to be replaced. This amendment, Honorable Speaker, is now going to make it easier for those faulty, because in all the transformers that are distributed in the country, just like any other product, Honorable Speaker, there is a probability that there could be a fault. When that fault occurs, if this transformer is imported from China or from India, then it means that it will probably have to be shipped back to that country, Honorable Speaker, or that particular component that is missing has to be imported again. But when these things are locally assembled here, Honorable Speaker, it's going to be quicker to replace any fault that may happen in our transformer, Honorable Speaker. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, is the impact on electricity tariffs. The pricing of electricity is regulated by the Energy and Protection Regulatory Authority, EPRA, and includes costs associated with generation, transmission, distribution, and maintenance. Transformers, being vital assets in the electricity network, therefore require regular replacement due to faults, wear and tear, or vandalism. By increasing the cost of transformer, Honorable Speaker, the 25% excess duty raises the overall maintenance costs which are ultimately transferred to consumers through higher tariffs, Honorable Speaker. That is the availability of transformers for use across the country. Kenya Power typically procures about 4,000 transformers annually, 3,200 for replacing worn-out units, and 1,000 for expanding the grid and connecting new customers. With increased cost burden brought about by the amendments, fewer transformers can be procured within the current budgetary and cash flow constraints. This will likely result in delays in replacing faulty transformers, extended outages, increased insecurity, reduced economic activity, and slower customer connections, especially in areas where a new transformer is prerequisite. Honorable Speaker, it is therefore evident that while the amendments introduced in the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024 were well-intentioned and aimed at promoting local manufacturing, they have unfortunately resulted in unintended adverse outcomes. This includes increased costs, operational challenges for utility providers, and a negative impact on service delivery. It is imperative that we reconsider the application of excess duty on transformers to strike a balanced and effective approach. Such a review is critical in aligning the government's broader development agenda, particularly the last mile connectivity. This flagship initiative seeks to expand electricity access to low-income households and rural communities for connecting those located within 600 meters of existing transformers. The success of this program hinges on the availability and affordability of transformers, and therefore the current acquisition framework needs to be re-evaluated to ensure that it supports rather than hinders the realization of this important national objective. Further, Honorable Speaker, the committee also proposed an amendment to the first stage of the Excise Duty Act to correct an error in the classification of glass tariffs, especially concerning float glass and safety glass. The current act incorrectly referenced tariff code 7007 for imported float glass, whereas the correct classification under the harmonized system is 7005. This miscalculation has led to confusion and intended consequence, particularly affecting the transformation sector, which depends on accurately classified safety glass for compliance and public safety. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, again, on this particular matter on float glass, the intended code was supposed to be 7007 for imported float glass, Honorable Speaker. However, this committee, this House erroneously classified that exchange code as 7005, and therefore one of the additional amendments we'll be seeking to do during the committee of the whole House is to also correct that unintended anomaly, Honorable Speaker. The types of glass that you see around are of different kinds. The glass that you use, say in banks, that has safety features, the glass that is used in our motor vehicles, the glass that is used on our glasses, Honorable Speaker, are all different kinds of glass, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, this differentiation, this classification, is going to ensure, again, that this House and this country prioritizes supporting of local manufacturing rather than importing, Honorable Speaker. No country, Honorable Speaker, has grown by being a supermarket. And that is unfortunately truth we must all agree as a country. We cannot grow if you become a supermarket for importation. The way to grow is to make sure that we support our local manufacturing by being very deliberate in promoting local manufacturing and making imported products that can be manufactured here locally more expensive. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, starting economic growth, Honorable Speaker. We've seen President Trump's administration slammed tariffs on imported products, Honorable Speaker. It is because they want to build America and make sure that American companies succeed. We must do the same as a country. We must be selfish as a country and say Kenya first. And for us to do that, the only way is to impose tariffs on imported finished products and make sure that we make it easy to import the raw materials, manufacture here, assemble here, and make sure that we buy Kenya and build Kenya, Mr. Speaker. President Ruto once said during the launch of a factory in West Pokot that a locally made Datsun is better than an imported Rolls-Royce. You must forgive where I come from. R's and L's can become complicated. And I share the same views. Our locally manufactured products may not be the best, but we support them, we shall get there. Honorable Speaker, this Honorable House, in the Finance Act of 2022, introduced excise duty on imported furniture. Honorable Speaker, there was a lot of debate saying there are so many furniture that cannot be produced locally. But what have we achieved now? If you go along Gong Road, if you go along Kiambu Road, if you along go use that bypass, if you go to my constituency in Molo and everywhere, we have so many people that are locally making furniture, Honorable Speaker. Seats that were very expensive, called recliner seats. We only imagined we could import them from China and Turkey. Now we have fundis here in Roysambu that are making those recliner seats here. Because this Honorable House made a deliberate decision to support local manufacturing of furniture. You heard President Ruto say, hii kitu inaitwa furniture ni mbao tu na msumari na nyundo. And people thought it was a joke. Until now you've seen even activists, some of them like Karara and a great businessman called Moraga, Honorable Speaker, have excelling furniture business, courtesy of policy interventions that were passed in this Honorable Speaker. As I wind up, I want to reiterate. As a country, we must be selfish. We must make sure we support local manufacturing of our products. And how we do that is by having tariffs that make it more expensive for imported products and grow our own manufacturing. It's going to start slowly, but it's going to grow, and we can be a hub of manufacturing around the region and in Africa. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Thank you. All members, before I propose a question for the bill for debate, join me in welcoming students from Jabali Primary and Junior School, Kiambaa constituency, Kiambu County, and students from Save Our Souls Junior Secondary School, Nyali, Mombasa County. They are welcome to follow the proceeding of this house this morning, and all the members, you can see them seated in the public gallery. We said that we welcome them through a food thumb. I now propose the question that the Excise Duty Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7, 2025, be now read a second time. The Honorable Gikaria.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to re-emphasize what the majority leader has just moved and seconded by the Chair of Finance. Honorable Speaker, if there is something that will spur the economic growth in this country, is transformers. Honorable Speaker, sometimes people take it lightly when they see the President launching some last mile connectivity someplace. Honorable Speaker, others criticize that, but they don't know the importance of what the President is doing by going to launch that very important component. Honorable Speaker, energy is an enabler. Honorable Speaker, that is going on in the country is about the debate of the cost of electricity. Honorable Speaker, as we are talking, within the committee now, we are looking into the independent power producers and how much we can be able to contribute towards lowering the cost of electricity. Honorable Speaker, what has been moved today, and of course, Honorable Speaker, I stand here to support, will go a long way, Honorable Speaker, to be able to do the very critical over and above the three things that the majority leader has indicated, most importantly, to lower the cost of electricity. Honorable Speaker, if you look at transformers, as it has been indicated, where we want to encourage local producers to continue they were not considered in terms of the 25%, the tax that had been imposed on fully completed transformers. Honorable Speaker, you will find that the local, of course, one of the issues is that the locals, manufacturers will benefit and will be able to compete in the market. But the most important, Honorable Speaker, and I want to reiterate, is about the cost that is going to be lowered by allowing that tax so that the local manufacturers can be able to compete and sell the transformers at a cheaper cost that will go, of course, escalate to the last, that is the consumer. Honorable Speaker, I cannot also not be able to re-emphasize that this country, particularly the security team, must also, including our law, where we are looking at the law and the penalties for people who are stealing the oil in the transformers or even stealing the transformer itself. Honorable Speaker, as I've said, indicated again, energy is an infrastructure that is very key for the transformation of the economic development of this country. And people have been stealing, and particularly the scrap metal dealers and other crooked criminals who go and steal our transformers, affecting the economic activity of an area for over 1 week or so. Honorable Speaker, it is important also for us to look at those people, crooks and criminals, who are going to steal the transformers or even stealing the oil that is the transformer just to go and do some welding business. Honorable Speaker, it is important for this country, as it has been said, that we need to look at support the amendment that has been brought so that it can be able to attain the intended purpose for that. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
Thank you. Member for Buri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support this amendment. Mr. Speaker, one of the programs of our government is to enhance manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, to enhance manufacturing, we have to look at the various inputs that a manufacturer requires. And one of them, of course, is electricity, which requires various components. Mr. Speaker, there is dwindling firewood requirement. Mr. Speaker, our youth want to start businesses in the rural areas. Mr. Speaker, we need to create opportunities for self-employment. Mr. Speaker, we need to create employment in our country. Mr. Speaker, we need to enhance research in our country. Mr. Speaker, we need to connect many people with electricity. They deserve to see power, electricity in their homes. Mr. Speaker, the cost of importation of transformers, Mr. Speaker, is draining our foreign exchange. Mr. Speaker, there are so many graduates of electricity who have studied electrical engineering. Mr. Speaker, these people need to be seen to be employed somewhere. They need to be encouraged. Mr. Speaker, we need to reduce the cost of production of goods and services. It's going to have a multiplier effect. Mr. Speaker, in order to enhance the capacity of maximization of power to our rural areas, Mr. Speaker, we need transformers with high capacity. Mr. Speaker, we need new transformers. Mr. Speaker, we need to encourage last mile connectivity. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, anything that is going to reduce the cost of manufacturing, the cost of transformers, it needs to be supported. Mr. Speaker, it is very important that we entirely, and I want to thank the majority leader and the chairman of finance for finding it is proper and appropriate at this time when the government want to connect many people as much as possible, as many as possible with electricity, to remove the excess duty. And Mr. Speaker, it is not only the excess duty on transformers. There are so many others items that need to be looked at. We remove the excess duty because they are going to enhance the local capacity of production. Mr. Speaker, this is sector specific because it's addressing the issue of manufacturing of transformers. Mr. Speaker, once we have this cost reduced, we shall enhance productivity. We will also encourage that the manufacturers are not only confined in Nairobi. We would like also to invest where we come. We have the capacity, even us, to produce transformers. And therefore, with that, Mr. Speaker, if we remove the excise, we'll be able to import items that are important for formation, manufacturing transformers. I therefore support and ask this House, is the high time that we really support the government in delivering its mandate of encouraging local production. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The member for Kitui Rural, I want to deny you this chance because you don't trust the system. Next time you should trust the system and stay in your seat. You know, if I wasn't having a good morning, I would have skipped you. I would like that members trust the system, that the speakers will call you in your chance stands for you to speak. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that advice and also giving me the opportunity also to support this amendment. Mr. Speaker, it's a policy of governments all over the world to protect and promote local manufacturers for two reasons. One, create employment. Two, income to the households. Three, also reduce the use of foreign exchange. I was reading the newspaper today, a nation newspaper today, And there's a very big writing on trade wars between China and USA, because USA feel that Chinese products are affecting their industries back home, and they want to increase their tariffs by 100% so that they can be protected. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, the excise duty of 25% was intended to protect the local manufacturers of transformers from imports, complete imports of transformers in the country. However, Madam Speaker, we need to note two things. One, the harmonized system, that is HS codes, for complete imported transformers and imported parts, which are used for assembling the transformers, is the same. And therefore, the excess duty of 25% was also affecting the imported parts, which are used to assembling transformers in this country. Two, there's no manufacturers of transformers in this country, and even in East Africa. And therefore, this exercise duty was affecting the costs of transformers, which are actually being assembled in this country. And also, because we don't have transformers manufacturers in East Africa, we cannot import from East Africa using common external tariffs. And therefore, the whole exercise became expensive to the country. Mr. Speaker, the increase affected rural electrification. Because the transformers increased the prices, the price for transformers went up by 25%, and this one was affecting the last mile connectivity, which me and you and every member of parliament is earning for, so that our people can get electricity, they can be connected to electricity, and also affecting the cost of manufacturing, because if the cost of transformer goes up, at the end product of the power is also going up. And it was also affecting our competitiveness in the region, because most of the manufacturers are using electricity in manufacturing. It's an input in manufacturing. Therefore, reducing this is going actually to increase our competitiveness. Mr. Speaker, when we are listening to Kenya Power and Lighting Company, and also LIREC, this one was affecting their budget, because they had already budgeted for the number of transformers they are going to buy. Now, increasing the cost by 25% of transformer, that means that they could not actually buy the number of transformers they were budgeted for this financial year. Kenya Power buys about 4,000 transformers, which are used for replacement of spoiled transformers in the country. Now, therefore, I beg this House to support this amendment so that our last mile connectivity can be back to track. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Gitonga Murungara, member for the Tharaka.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to support this bill, which is a very important bill, and especially now that the country is talking about taxation, and excise duty is one form of taxation in the country where the government has to raise revenue through the process of taxing goods that are coming into the country. So such a reduction finds favor with Kenyans in that constantly we are thinking about ways and means of reducing taxes so as to do several things in the country, including local production and also including lowering the prices of goods coming into the country for use by Kenyans. This bill seeks to delete the tariffs that are described under the Act with a rate of 25% excise duty on all imported, fully assembled electronic transformers and the parts of those transformers. The current situation is that if you import a transformer today, you would pay 25% of its value as excise duty. If you import any parts of a transformer also, you would have to pay the same. So by removing this particular rate, it means transformers would now come in excise duty free together with the parts that form those transformers. We have been given the rationale in the bill that we have actually to encourage local production and essentially assembling of transformers in Kenya. We know very well we may not be able to manufacture the parts here, but we are able to assemble. And once we assemble, number one, there are certain advantages that will come to the country. The first one being we are encouraging manufacturing, production, and hiring more people to work in these industries. Number two, without these taxes, the prices will go down. And we'll be able to have more transformers in the country, thence widening the scope of electricity supply, especially to the rural areas. As we speak today, the country is not particularly well lit in terms of electricity. Rural constituencies, including my own constituency, Tharaka, are reeling under connection in terms of electricity. And when we see this, it brings some light, it sheds some light to us that soon things are going to turn around. We will have rural constituencies being connected to the national grid, not the usual excuse that there are no funds available, because now we will be able to use lesser money to connect wider areas. This is a very important bill, and that's why we've been called upon, and I fully agree that we should support the same. Once we look at the transformers, we have also to look at other components of electricity supply in the country, and I would encourage the Finance Committee, including the chairperson, to now start looking at imported posts, because we are told sometimes we have to get posts from Tanzania and elsewhere to see whether these also have excise duty. We have to look at cables, because we have to cable the lines, so that if we have to import wires, whether they are copper or whatever nature, then we look at what duties we have to pay. As we proceed with this, we are saying that the cost of connecting Kenyans to electricity continues going down. We must also look at local production, including the availability of copper in the country. We are informed, or we are told by the mining department, that certain areas in the Tharaka constituency, in Kitui, are actually replete with copper. And therefore, it is the high time we looked at how we can exploit this copper. We are able to get more of these lines, these wires, which we need for our electricity supply. Again here, the cost goes down. We have more production locally. We have more jobs created, and the people are given electricity at very cheap rates. We also have to look at the cost of electricity itself, because we are told the reason why the cost of electricity in the country is so
Order, Honorable Murungara. Something is really exciting the Honorable Nguna. Is anything out of order, Honorable Nguna, because you are shouting and throwing your hands?
Madam Speaker, it's just point of information in Kitui County.
So you have a point of information?
Yes.
Who would you like to inform?
My good friend, my brother, Honorable Murungara. I
have to find out from the Honorable Murungara whether you would like to be informed. You may proceed. Please inform him.
Yes, I would like just to inform him, Kitui is one of the richest counties in terms of minerals, especially copper and gemstone. So I was very happy and excited when he mentioned about Kitui County. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, that's a little bit hilarious. And he makes us laugh now. The reason being that exactly, I am quite familiar with the topography of Kitui, which is very similar to that of my county, Tharaka Nithi, especially the Raka constituency. And therefore, I know where copper is in both counties, and I would actually name those places. And this is what I'm telling the government to do, the Ministry of Mining. Let's get into where copper is in the country. Let us actually mine this copper and start turning it into the lines. Because this is what Zambia did, and this is the reason why electricity supply in Zambia is much better than what we have in the country. It doesn't matter how people live, whether they are in grass-thatched houses. Today, in a modern country like Kenya, every Kenyan should be connected to electricity. And I have called upon the Minister of Energy to ensure that not just the Raka constituency, all the constituencies of Kenya, we should now moving towards 100% electricity connectivity. This is what this bill aims to do, because I've just spoken to power people now regarding a transformer at a place called Ruungu in the Raka constituency, which blew about 2 months ago. It has not been repaired because the parts are not available. They have to be imported, and I know for sure once they are imported, they are subjected to this tax, they become expensive, and at times Kenya Power is not able to procure those parts as fast as it should. This bill comes to aid Kenya Power and all the assembling companies that are going to be given licenses to ensure that we now start doing our things locally, including assembling and repairs at minimal costs to the benefit of all Kenyans. This is a bill we should support, and I beg to support too.
Thank you. Member for Entebbe, the Honorable Dr. Pukose.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to this bill, exercise duty bill. Madam Speaker, I stand to support the bill in that the exercise duty being removed of 25% being removed on disassembled transformers is a great improvement, and this was in the finance bill of 2024 that was rejected. And I think when you look back again, you realize that some of these issues that were rejected had good impact within the economy. And if we had had that amendment being carried out a year ago, then I think by now we would be some steps ahead. Honorable Speaker, you know, at times we are so impatient as a country when we look, instead of taking time to study some of these very important amendments, because this is a very critical amendment. Our country is going through a lot of changes now. And when you are in the rural places, one of the biggest challenges is having electricity supply to almost every village. Now, as we speak, Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Power and Lighting together with REREC are continuously connecting villages, houses, schools, public facilities to electricity. And everybody is rushing to say, I need electricity in my house. I have not been connected. And therefore, this is a very critical service, because in just electricity improves security-wise, it provides power so that even children can study at night, so that the child who is in a rural place has equal opportunities like that child who is in an urban place. You have access to amenities just like anybody else in other parts of the country. And therefore, when we are able to remove this exercise duty, what it means is that you are going to have local manufacturing, you're going to have job creation, you're going to have technology transfer, and therefore there is a lot of multiply effect that is going to happen out of this, and therefore this is a very important amendment, and that's an amendment that I stand to support. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The Honorable Osoro, member for South Mugirango and Whip.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support this very important bill that seeks to remove 25%, and I think that should be very clear, 25% excise duty on imported parts of that transformer, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this still confirms, this is one of the things that confirms that indeed what was actually rejected last year wasn't really very bad as people wanted to make it look like, and they went to the streets without really understanding that these are some of the proposals that were pushed. Honorable Speaker, each person here, each member of parliament in this, or each member of this House, Honorable Speaker, has an issue or two as far as electricity and transformer or power connectivity in their constituency is concerned. And because sometimes, of course, out of the growing population and such kind of things, there is a challenge of overloading, Honorable Speaker, of transformers. As we speak right now, Honorable Speaker, I have about 11 villages in my constituency that are in blackout today because of a worn-out transformer, Honorable Speaker. And anytime you visit the relevant offices, the Kenya Power and all the relevant offices, Honorable Speaker, that deal with that, they tell you that, we are waiting for a specific part. We are waiting for some part from Nairobi, or some part, we sent for some part somewhere in some overseas, and we are waiting for about 3 weeks so that that very particular part should be arriving in another 2 weeks to fix that transformer. That really puts us in a very awkward situation. So what this bill seeks, Honorable Speaker, is to encourage people, especially those people within that industry, that because there is no such excise duty, then that very cost of assembling a transformer locally is going to be very easy. This is what we were saying even last year, Honorable Speaker, that if you are able to remove 25% on excise duty, the people who deal in this line of business, the people who deal in the line of energy, including even the Kenya Power themselves and any other player that wants to engage, the suppliers of such transformers, will be able to import several parts of those transformers, Honorable Speaker, or of those parts, Honorable Speaker, and have them assembled here in this country, Honorable Speaker. It then brings in 2 points. Number one, we'll have helped in job creation, because assembling in this country will really grow. Because as it currently is, Honorable Speaker, many transformers that we have are usually, brought in this country fully assembled from elsewhere. That means job creation is done elsewhere. But removing the excise duty, Honorable Speaker, on the parts that are important, then it means that factories and industries that want to assemble the transformers will move to this country, create more jobs for our youth, and expand and of course help mitigate this challenge of lack of enough transformers across the country. So, Honorable Speaker, this bill wouldn't have come. I wish it could actually come a bit earlier, perhaps maybe in 2023, so that we solve this problem. Because if we give each member of parliament an opportunity to speak today here, they will say of 1 or 2 transformers that are missing in their constituencies. Some even up to 10, others up to 15. In fact, I got a message, Honorable Speaker, from one of my constituents yesterday, telling me that, Mheshimiwa, you lied to us that you'll fix this transformer about 4 months ago. And I really wish and hope that the guy is watching. That the problem that we have in that particular transformer is that part that is supposed to repair that transformer is missing. And it's missing because currently there is 25% excise duty to have that part, in this country, so that we are able to fix it. So wait a little bit. We are now on the second reading. You wait a little bit, we pass this bill, we remove the 25% of the excise duty on that particular part, then you will have your transformer fixed. Because that is the problem we are having, Honorable Speaker. So this bill, we urge all members to support and agree with us that even as we talk about the transformers, we should also again think about other parts, including the vehicles. We go ahead on the tires, every spare part, everything that was in the last year's finance bill, Honorable Speaker. Many of these things are the things that we talked about. Assembling parts, assembling the parts so that we don't rely on finished products from countries. We should be self-reliant. We can do it here, Honorable Speaker. We can assemble parts here. We can assemble transformers here. What we had, or the challenge that we had, Honorable Speaker, and we've been having, is that excise duty on parts is higher sometimes than even the fully assembled from the other parts of the world or overseas, Honorable Speaker. So this is a right step towards a right direction, Honorable Speaker. I fully support. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to first and foremost support this amendment bill, basically looking for the reduction in excise duty from the 25% to on various parts touching on the electric transformers. Honorable Speaker, I come from a constituency which is very lowly supplied with electricity. And many a times, the complaint with Kenya Power has been the transformers are not there, or if the transformers have been put, for one reason or another, the transformers are faulty. And Honorable Speaker, many a times also, it happens that whenever you approach KPLC or RIREC, it says the transformers are on transit, they are being imported, and many a times also, it puts you in an awkward situation where you have to explain to my constituents the situation, yet they need power as at that time. Doing at about 34% in my constituency, Honorable Speaker, that's a very low rate of power supply. And once this bill comes into law, I want to look forward to getting, Honorable Speaker, good supply of transformer and transformer parts so that the whole country, Honorable Speaker, including my constituency of Aholo, can get supply. What is the import of this bill, Honorable Speaker? It's simply going to allow that the importation of transformer parts is now easy, and we should now, Honorable Speaker, caution the Kenya Revenue Authority, as we approve this, that let them not shift the goalposts, Honorable Speaker. Many a times, you will see that we pass this bill as it is, then it gets to KRA, Honorable Speaker, they shift in terms of the coding. You get tomorrow that, Honorable Speaker, the code for the transformer as assembled and the code for the parts is separated. Honorable Speaker, we need to look at it and ask KRA to be very punctual in implementing this law. As soon as it's approved, Honorable Speaker, and ascended into law, we want to see that, Honorable Speaker, we get enough, we get the waivers put, there are right application put into the system so that we get the transformers as instant as possible. Honorable Speaker, we have seen people asking that the president is moving around and lighting in villages, lighting various village homes. What is it that separates, Honorable Speaker, light in an upmarket estate and light in the village? In any case, light is more required in the village than even in the upmarket estate, Honorable Speaker, because we also have lights, street lights. But we need more light in the villages to make our children, our sons and daughters who are young enough to use those lights. We use the korobois when we are growing up. Our eyes have been affected. We need our children to live better than the life we led. I support this bill.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The Honorable Ruto, member for Kisses.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to quickly put my voice to this particular amendment. In the first, I stand to support the amendment, Madam Speaker, on this particular excise duty that is charging on the imported transformers. Madam Speaker, whereas the spirit of excise taxes or excising imported products is to enable domestic production, is to enable employment creation in our economy, is to enable consumption of our local products where we have an opportunity to consume our local products. This particular case, Madam Speaker, is very critical in the sense that we have a challenge on the edges codes that have been provided by the Common External Tariff, that is edges code number 8504. And in this particular one, whereas this particular amendment intended to reduce imported fully finished product in the transformer case for that purpose, it gave us a challenge, or it gave Kenya Revenue a challenge by virtue that there is no any other edges code that is able to support the imported parts that are used to assemble in the Republic of Kenya. And that is the case why we are here today. And I want to speak from the point of view of the demand of the energy and electricity connectivity in our country. Coming from my constituency, the people of Excice, where when I was given an opportunity to lead, we were standing at 29% level of connectivity in the households. But Madam Speaker, up to now, I want to appreciate the fact that though there are some deliberate measures and moves to grow that particular access, we still have a challenge even in the entire region and entire country. And for this case, this particular amendment will serve to reduce the cost of connecting the people. And this one, Madam Speaker, so much, I want to give a classical example of the ongoing FDB4 connectivity undertaken by Kenya Power, which is a donor-funded program. It had gone through stalemate through a court case, but the day the court case was removed and the contractors resumed the work of undertaking this, Madam Speaker, it is sorry to state that the materials that are required have to be imported overseas. And in this case, the cost of this particular excise duty has created an impediment in ensuring that this particular project is undertaken, and it will take time and it will deny Kenyans the opportunity to access this power. So this particular amendment, Madam Speaker, will ensure that the cost of imported materials by the same contractors will be able to come down and will enhance and fast track this particular amendment. Lastly, Madam Speaker, we are facing a huge challenge that is a divisional challenge caused by vandalism of these transformers. And I think the committee concerned should be able to look at the piece of legislation we have, whether we need to put more focus on penal codes to punish those guys that are participating in vandalizing our transformers, including the staff that are perceived to be colluding with these particular criminals. This is an economic crime that needs to be punished, so that as we are struggling to create environment for employment and manufacturing here, we need to protect the vandalism by passing strong penalties so that we are able to deter this one and ensure that the little earned resources that is in our country, Madam Speaker, shall be protected. Lastly, we want to encourage assembling in Kenya. And I realize the demand is not only in Kenya, even in the East African countries. They're already showing interest in assembling within the region. And if Kenya will go fast, we will create employment. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I stand to support. Thank you so much.
The Honorable Mashako, member for Hundanyi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the excise duty amendment bill that provides that we reduce excise duty on imported parts to assemble transformers in this country from 25% to 0%. Honorable Speaker, this bill is coming at the right time when this country, we are looking at having every household connected to electricity by the year 2027, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, transformers indeed play a central role when it comes to power connectivity, when it comes to last mile connections in the country. And today, Honorable Speaker, we have been pushing so hard to see that all households in our constituencies are connected to power. But the biggest challenge we've been facing, Honorable Speaker, is that the cost of doing this connection has been extremely high. And the biggest cost when it comes to this connectivity, Honorable Speaker, has been the cost of transformers, has been the cost of cables, where, Honorable Speaker, connecting households around 600 meters requires 1 or 2 transformers. And therefore, the cost has been an impediment to making sure that we connect as many Kenyans as possible, Honorable Speaker. Having said this, Honorable Speaker, it is under this backdrop that we need also as a country to look at how we implement the tax policy that this country adopted in the year 2023. Honorable Speaker, the tax policy that I'm talking about is that informs the medium-term policy of 2023 to 2027, Honorable Speaker, indicates that we need to have tax laws that are predictable, tax laws that are consistent, tax law that are stable to the tune that, to the level that investors can have confidence in our tax system, can make their investment decisions without having to worry whether our tax laws will keep changing year in, year out, Honorable Speaker. And I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, indeed every year we see finance bills coming to this House to amend one section of our tax laws or the other. But as we pass this amendment that is so crucial when it comes to connectivity and electricity connectivity, Honorable Speaker, we need as a House to stamp our authority when it comes to changes in our tax laws that are so happening so fast, so quick, and tax laws that are being amended every year in, year out, Honorable Speaker. This has been a big cry to investors out there because they need a stable tax system that when they make the investment decision to invest in this country, they are making an investment decision knowing that for the next 3 or 5 years, the tax laws will be stable, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, having said this, Honorable Speaker, I also need to say that Kenya Power and REREC that have been in the forefront to connecting our people with power, they need also to fast-track implementation of their project, Honorable Speaker. Every time you are pursuing a project or a scheme in your constituency, you keep hearing that, they are still ordering materials out of the country. They are still bringing in, they're missing poles. Next time they're missing meters. Next time they're missing transformers, Honorable Speaker. So even as we do this, and I want to urge the Chair, Energy, to really push and make sure that the reorder levels of these parastatals are truly obeyed, so that then we do not delay implementation of project because of lacking meters, lacking transformers, and lacking poles, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if the cost of making these transformers is cheaper in Kenya, this tells you that, Honorable Speaker, we will be able to create, a quick supply when we need to do connectivity. When we're replacing transformers, Honorable Speaker, it will not take too long because importation processes are taking too long. And therefore, why I support this tax amendment, Honorable Speaker, is because now we know if these transformers are assembled locally at affordable prices, Honorable Speaker, then as a country we are able to get to do the connectivity that we envisage. Like I tell you, in my constituency, Honorable Speaker, we have people in Kishushe, Bongorua area, Mwakilemba, and Gongodini that have been waiting for their connectivity. And every time I'm pushing about this, I'm told there are no poles, there are no transformers. And you wonder, the people there really requires electricity, Honorable Speaker. And another issue, Honorable Speaker, we must say as a country, there are areas in this country that people are not concentrated in one area, Honorable Speaker. So one transformer, we realize that will serve very few people. And many times when Kenya Power or REREC are doing the electricity connectivity, Honorable Speaker, the cost at which they are connecting, people where they are not concentrated. You realize a transformer connecting maybe 5 or 10 people, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, in such an area, you require so many transformers, 5, 6 transformers to connect maybe 50 households, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, an affirmative action is also to be employed when connecting rural constituencies, particularly as where I come from in Taita Taveta, where you realize, Honorable Speaker, we still have so many people that are not connected with STIMA. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, as we support this, we want to call upon the department, this House, the Energy Committee, to make sure that as they do this, they push Kenya Power and REREC to put more emphasis to rural constituencies, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, there is no way you would put the same emphasis that you put in an urban constituency and give them the same number of transformers with the same number of transformers given to a rural constituency, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I support this, I want to say that as a House, we must also take stock of how far electricity connectivity is happening in the country, Honorable Speaker. So that as we do this, we also balance the country.
Order, Honorable Mwashako. Before you conclude, do I see a point of order from the Honorable COA?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to request if we can have a time limit. We agree on the time because so many people want to contribute on this crucial bill, and it could be important that we limit the time. Yes, because everybody wants to talk about it. We all want to contribute. Yeah, kindly let us vote about it so that we can have a good number of people contribute on this. You see, even one member has already walked out of the House.
That is okay. You may take your seat, Honorable COA. Honorable members, clearly there is nothing out of order. However, since we did not set time at the beginning, so everyone can speak for 10 minutes. However, I noticed that there is a very long list of members who would like to contribute, and I would like to ask whether we can limit time so that so that it's possible for as many of you to be able to speak. Honorable members, I would like to ask. Honorable Kaluma.
Honorable Speaker, you've ruled well that if there is a motion to reduce time for debate by any member, that motion must be moved at the beginning. It cannot be moved midway. Honorable Speaker, the request we can make is that each contributor or debater or MP speaks for the shortest time they can, but midway we cannot. And then I wanted to request, Honorable Speaker, that we have so many motions which the House has never been interested on. When we have a matter the House is interested in, like this one, allow the members to speak. This hurry we have on motions when we have all the time to deal with others, this is not good. Allow us to contribute. Yeah. We want.
Can I continue, Madam Speaker?
Kaluma. Honorable Kaluma, I take note of your contribution, and you are right. However, there are members who have been seated here for a very long time, and they would like to contribute. And we can only do this by agreeing, and it was a kind request by the Honorable COA, and I would like to ask the Honorable members that we try to summarize our points.
Like I'm doing.
From where I sit, I'm not able to even give you the time. But I would like to say that we summarize so that as many people as possible can contribute to this motion.
Not even summarize the repetition. We are hearing the same thing all the time.
Honorable Mashako,
can I conclude?
Before you conclude, I would like to hear what the Honorable Murungara would like to say.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, decisions of the House are taken by the House. So we are properly constituted, and therefore, being properly constituted, we can actually decide on the issue and agree on. Hold on. All right. Honorable Kaluma says you can't. Where do you get that from? What is the authority for that? We're each a standing order. And unfortunately, we cannot. We have done it before. It's a tradition of this House. Nothing stops us from taking a vote. Absolutely. So let us vote now so that we allocate as many members as we can to contribute to the matter. In fact, 3 minutes, a member would have said something about his or our constituency, and we move on. But for him to say we can't, of course we can. Nothing stops us from doing that.
So it's
we are spending more time debating on. 2 members would have finished now already.
Order, members. I fully understand where we are coming from, and the fact that there is a lot of pressure for people to speak, especially when we are talking about reducing the cost of transformers. You know what it means, and each one of us as a transformer that requires replacement. However, honorable members, I'll just make reference to our rules. Standing order number 97. The House may, on a motion made by any member in accordance with this standing order, impose a limit in respect of debate on any particular motion or bill by allotting a limited period of time for such debate, or by limiting the time during which members may speak in such debate, or by imposing such limitations. 2 says, a motion for limitation of debate under this standing order may be made without notice. 3 says, a motion under paragraph 2 shall not be made in the course of the debate to which it refers unless it is moved after the adjournment of such debate and before the debate is resumed. So, honorable members, with regard to our own rules, I am not in a position, or our rules do not allow us. However, I would like to ask you, by your own volition, so that you give a chance to another member to speak, to summarize. So I'll give a chance now to the Honorable Mashako to conclude. You have 1 minute.
1 minute is quite short, Honorable Speaker, but I agree with you. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, I want to say, the quality of these transformers we're talking about, as we assemble them locally, we must also make sure that the quality is to the standard that we expect, because at the moment, Honorable Speaker, we are having so many transformers blown off. We are having so many issues with transformers in constituencies. And as transformers, we need to check on the quality of transformers. We also need to check on the quality that is being done at substation level, Honorable Speaker. I'm giving you an example, Honorable Speaker, of a substation in Undanyi that was launched by the President 3-4 months ago. But since it was launched, Honorable Speaker, we've not seen stability and reliability of power improving, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, as we look at reducing cost of transformers, we must also look at the cost of substations that are not adding value to the stability of power. We must also look at the cost of transformers that keep blowing off, Honorable Speaker. We must also look at
Wait, don't tell him what to take.
The Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi, member for Kwanza.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think I'm one man who has been here the whole day, but I want to take this opportunity to support this particular bill. And it's because, one, I think Kenya, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the most developed area in the region. And therefore, I think we should actually impress on this. Because the mover, when he was moving, he says that over 400 units are imported every year, over 4,000. Now that means that if this was done locally here, Madam Speaker, you can imagine just how easy it is in terms of the pricing of this particular one. Then, of course, would also have been promoted local manufacturing skills, and more especially in terms of job creation. And therefore, I want to support this particular bill because I think it's in itself very, very motive, and I wish it came much earlier. I think you blame me or blame other people not to have come up with this much earlier, because it's a very, very emotive bill. Secondly, this country, as it is today, is like a supermarket where things are brought in and, they charge you anything. And the prices of imported transformer, Madam Speaker, is very high. But if it was locally made, rather assembled, of course, we may not have all the parts here, locally made here. But if we are to import and assemble here, again, of course, Kenya will not be just a supermarket like it is today, where actually, and as somebody mentioned also, you walk out there as a member of parliament, I'm told there's no electricity. Not because they're not able to pay, but they're not there. There's also a short supply of these particular transformers. And therefore, I think this particular bill to me is very, very important, and I think that's come at the right time. Let's pass it so that can be able to have this locally manufactured and assembled here, so that can create more jobs for technical staff that actually we are training today in the TVET and even Polytechnic and even the universities with a very good electrical knowledge. And therefore, I think without wasting so much time, we have talked about it, and I think we do not want to go beyond that. Let's at least initiate this. We remove this 25% and be able to have the transformers locally assembled here, and then make Kenya actually a supermarket. With those few remarks, I support this particular bill. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Kawanjiko, member for Kiamba. If we go at that speed, we'll have many people speaking on this. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this important motion and bill. The issue of transformer and electricity connection is a very emotive issue, and Madam Speaker, I think we should support anything that will help us to increase the capacity of connecting our people to the grid, anything that will help us also to make sure that we lower the cost of manufacturing, because anything that is supporting the local manufacturing, it is very, very important, because by the time we are creating and supporting the local manufacturing, making sure that they are able to employ more people, making sure also we connect as many manufacturers as possible in terms of creations of employment, Madam Speaker. And I support it 100%. We must also deal with the issue of those people who steal these important components of electricity, Madam Speaker. You normally see that we connect maybe 10 or 100 transformers, but within maybe the same month, you may realize we are losing about 20 or 30 transformers to scrap metals people, Madam Speaker. So therefore, we must be deliberate to make sure that we cap those people, we deal categorically with those people who steal transformers, because they are known in this republic. We have seen a case also whereby that the DCI were able to engage and maybe also arrest those people who have been stealing transformers. But within a month, we realize that these people, again, they are, especially in our local areas in Kiambu, Kiamba, all the constituencies within the Kiambu County, we realized the same person who had been stealing transformers was released by the court because he got himself a board, and the same problem has started again to reoccur. So therefore, Madam Speaker, we must call out the National Police Service, to make sure that these people who are really vandalizing these transformers, they are dealt with in totality, Madam Speaker. The issue of manufacturing, support of local manufacturers, because in one way or the other, we must make sure that they are not able to compete with the international manufacturers. We must protect our local manufacturers, Madam Speaker. And because there are so many elements, there are so many angles whereby that the transformers are becoming so expensive for us as government to deal with, we must be able to support the local manufacturers, make sure they are well equipped, so that any international occurrence may not be able to affect them when they are dealing with their manufacturing. Therefore, Madam Speaker, we support the local manufacturers.
I want to say the issue of transformers in this country and encouraging these transformers to be assembled locally. It is very, very important, because we have issues across the country where a whole country, about a quarter of this country or even a half, is not connected to the grid. Madam Speaker, I wish to state clearly that if electricity supply is consistent in our entire country, then we will have opportunity of the youth working in the villages, like doing welding, hair salons, and supporting them in their daily endeavors. Because, Honorable Madam Speaker, we cannot employ everyone in the urban areas. Madam Speaker, I want to say, other than the transformers being manufactured locally, we also need to go a step further and ensure that we also reduce duty on cables, wires, stays that go along with connectivity. We also have an opportunity of also reducing excess duties on croissant and the stay-ons that also help in connectivity of electricity. However, Madam Speaker, as much as we talk about assembling these transformers, even today, what we should tend to fight more is fighting economic crime. Because, Madam Speaker, we have transformers across the country, and every now and then we hear they have been vandalized. Unless we deal with this kind of crime, we will be fighting and increasing transformers, and there will be other people coming behind us, vandalizing and sabotaging the economy of this country. Madam Speaker, for every progressive country to grow and grow successfully, we must support local manufacturing. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to laud this very, very important move, and I want to say we should have done it a year ago or even 10 years ago so that this country, Madam Speaker, can be able to grow and we spur our own economic growth, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to say the issue of quality assurance is equally very key because we might start manufacturing these transformers and end up doing substandard things if we do not apply the issue of quality assurance. And I'm sure this will come at that time then when we pass this very, very important bill. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I support this bill and I say as a country, this is the way to go. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Thuku Kwenya, member for Kinangop.
Thank you, Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to, in a very special way, support, but also say that even as we support, it is both a win and a loss in the sense that once we amend this law as is, because we just passed this law last year in the tax amendment laws, Madam Speaker, I realize that transformers fully assembled and their parts share the same HS code. And that means then, as much as we want to protect local manufacturing, then we are giving them an equal opportunity with importers. And that being the case, Madam Speaker, I thought that maybe Finance Committee would have done a better job by separating the two codes, fully assembled transformers and the parts, so that then we exempt duty on imported parts, but still impose duty on fully assembled transformer. So that then, Madam Speaker, we have a situation whereby we are promoting local manufacturing. That component of assembly would mean some job for some young people in this country. And therefore, even as we celebrate our misstep, because this was a misstep in the first place when we passed the same in the tax amendment clause, then we should go further by maybe introducing a new HS code for imported parts, so that then we cure this bill and still win in terms of raising revenue and discouraging importation of completely or fully assembled transformers. Madam Speaker, the issue of electricity in this country is quite a big one, and especially in the constituency that I represent, Kinangop. The level of connectivity is only just slightly above 50%. And indeed, if you want to achieve 100% connectivity, a lot needs to be done by this House, and especially call out Kenya Power and Lighting Company and Rural Electrification Authority. So that then, Madam Speaker, we do not have these slack and delays whereby once a project is done, by the time the one agency is transferring to the next, there are many delays that happens within that time, either because Kenya Power has an issue with how design was done, Kenya Power doesn't have connecting meters, Kenya Power or REREC did not submit leave certificates, and I think we need to have some harmony. So that then even as we look in terms of costing, we do not lose money again as in a situation whereby the government has invested its money in a project, but the project is not being commissioned, and therefore even the rate of return and the time of return delays, because we should, Kenya Power and REREC should work like business people, whereby once you invest, you should follow through to see that you start earning from your investment. And I think these are the delays that we are experiencing. And going forward, Madam Speaker, we need as members of Parliament not just to pass good laws here, but also call out the implementing agencies so that then they do what they're supposed to do and do within the stipulated time. With that, Madam Speaker, I want to be generous with my time, but I think I've passed my point. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Peter Kaluma, member for Homa Bay Town.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to contribute to this particular one as a member of the Departmental Committee on Finance and Economic Planning. Madam Speaker, up to this morning, you've seen very many of our media houses making publications about intentions by the current government to increase the taxes. I wanted to confirm that that is the reason as to why when we have a chance to confirm to the nation that that is not an intent, we have to thank you for allowing us to do so. Honorable Speaker, I sit in this committee which deals with taxation, and really that bill the media is talking about is not known to us. And let me confirm, Honorable Speaker, to the nation that it is Parliament that taxes. In fact, the main reason as to why parliaments exist is on the principle that there can be no taxation without representation. So these appearances they keep making that President Ruto or anybody outside of this house is imposing taxes is very wrong. It is insightful. And when we have a chance to demonstrate that the intent of this parliament is to the contrary, Honorable Speaker, we thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, through the Tax Laws Amendments Acts of 2024, we imposed 25% excise duty on fully assembled transformers. And I think members ought to understand this clearly, because I'm hearing members contributing, confusing parts, assembled, non-assembled. It was an imposition on fully assembled transformers. And it was hoped that if we made that imposition, Honorable Speaker, then the parts of transformers would be low, or locally manufactured transformers would be lower in cost. And so we would be spurring new industries to come to assemble and make this more available while creating employment opportunities also for our people. Honorable Speaker, contrary to that intent, and this is important, Kenya is a member of the East African Community, Common Customs External Tariff. And under that external tariff arrangement, all member states of the East African Community impose this tax under the same tariff code for both imported parts and fully assembled transformers. So that when we thought, even though we don't have companies which can manufacture transformers, the ones which can assemble would be getting the parts at a lower excise duty because we imposed 25 on the fully assembled. The fact of the matter is that both fully assembled and the parts to be assembled locally under the East Africa Community Common Customs External Tariff Arrangement attract the same 25%. So that, in effect, we have not achieved the economic intent we intended by this amendment. And it's for that reason, Honorable Speaker, that I want to agree with the committee and everybody that if you are going to spur economic growth, if you are going to spur industry, and this is a good intervention coming from Parliament on behalf of government. Honorable Speaker, let me confirm that we've seen people sometimes saying, oh, our old president was launching a transformer somewhere. The fact of the matter is that electric power penetration in the country is still very low. Honorable Speaker, my constituency is called Homa Bay Town. But do you know we are far, far below 30% of electric power penetration? And for some people, while others laugh at it, for some people, if we were to get just a transformer, it is a celebration worth launching. And therefore, any measure, Honorable Speaker, any measure that allows the country to improve on power distribution has a domino effect in terms of lighting up the country. Honorable Speaker, if we lower the cost of transformers, we essentially lower the cost of energy production by lowering the component.
Order, Honorable Kaluma. There's a point of order by the Honorable Elisha Odhiambo. What is out of order?
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I think the Honorable Kaluma has made a statement that the distribution of electricity in respective areas of the country is still very low. He has contradicted the very fact that power distribution in central Kenya is at 89%. That is a fact.
What is out of order, Honorable Elisha?
The statement was out of context, and I was just trying to help him to say a fact that Homa Bay, in terms of coverage,
are you assisting the Honorable Kaluma to debate?
I'm assisting him. Homa Bay, in terms of coverage.
No, you are out of order.
Honorable Speaker.
You're out of
Honorable
order.
Speaker, Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for reminding
Maybe
Honorable...
I would have assisted you if you sought to inform the Honorable Kaluma. And I want to be generous.
Do you want to
Would you
inform me?
like to inform?
I don't want information.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's the
Honorable
Okay,
Speaker,
then
I
the
don't
Honorable
want
Kaluma
information.
does not want to be informed.
I don't want.
Please proceed and conclude.
Yes. Honorable Speaker, the MP for Game cannot purport to inform me about a constituency I represent. He cannot competently inform me. Honorable Speaker, the point I was making is that when some people, chide, go joking, they are saying, oh, our old president is, launching a transformer. The fact of the matter is that in some areas, seeing a transformer is huge. It makes lighting of those rural communities very easy. Everywhere we go, Honorable Speaker, people are now saying, is there going to come a time? Also, our women, who are the backbone of the rural economy, are saying, is there a time I will come home and I just touch the switch and there would be light at home? And so it is a big thing for us. Honorable Speaker, when we reduce the cost of transformers as a component for electric power distribution, the impact is that all our schools and learning institutions which are struggling with electrification will be electrified, and progress in the education sector will be achieved. The fact of the matter, Honorable Speaker, is that parts of our economy which depend on electric power, like the digital economy, Honorable Speaker, we are starting ICT hubs in every ward in the country. You cannot run it without electric power supply. So the fact of the matter is that all that part of the economy, digital economy, our young people who want to apply for jobs on the computers to work externally or to work off-site are going to be moved. Honorable Speaker, the cost of energy is a big issue when we are dealing with the state of our economy. And so as I applaud this intervention by the committee in charge of finance and taxation on behalf of this parliament, Honorable Speaker, I had proposed, and I want to end by proposing, there would be need, after we reduce the price or the cost of this customs exercise, to have a meeting between the committee in charge of finance and the committee in terms of energy, so that we can rationalize what other interventions are affecting the cost of electric power, the cost of petroleum, so that we can have industries which are local. The situation we have now because of cost of energy, Honorable Speaker, is that most of our companies are going to neighboring countries, they are producing cheaply, and they are returning their goods here under this East African common tariff. So there would be need for that meeting. But for this intervention, we thank the committee, we thank this parliament, and we fully support it as a matter that will not only improve the livelihoods, including health. So many of our health institutions, Honorable Speaker, do not have electric power. And that way, the specimens, the various drugs which need to be refrigerated and kept in particular conditions cannot be kept. And that is, hurting even universal health coverage in the country. So this is a positive intervention. We are confirming to the country that where we need to be reasonable and reduce, we are reducing. The others will be considered as we go along. I support and I urge the honorable members of this House to join the committee in supporting this critical amendment. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Ekomas Mutuse, member for Kibwezi West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I rise to support the amendments on one particular parallel that I want to draw. 20 years ago, it was not feasible for an ordinary Kenyan to own a motorcycle. However, through progressive interventions, tax interventions and tax reforms by regimes that existed that time, beginning with the Kibaki regime, that culminated into legal notice number 112 of 2020. Today, there are a lot of local assembling of motorcycles, and ordinary Kenyans are able to afford a motorcycle. I draw this parallel also to say that if the intention of this amendment is to spur local assembling of transformers, then already there is an example drawn from what we have seen in terms of motorcycles. However, Madam Speaker, as we do so, I have also looked at the Memorandum of Objects and Reasons. And the memorandum of objects and reasons reads as follows. The principal object of this bill is to amend the Excise Duty Act to remove excise duty on imported, fully assembled electric transformers. I'll be therefore requesting my very good friend, the Honorable Kimani, as he replies, to also clarify whether this object includes parts, because in the memorandum that is on the bill, the parts are not listed as part of the reasons for this bill. I therefore support, to the extent that we want to spur local manufacturing, and as well request the committee to move further, to come up with regulations akin to those of motorcycles. Because if you are removing duty on parts, the reason you are removing duty is because you do not have local capacity. But that cannot be perpetual. You have to say at a certain particular time, just like Murugara said, if we have copper in the country, if we are importing parts that are made of copper from China, we need to explore our own copper so that in 5 years' time we are able to make those parts and we do not need to import them anymore. So then it is an holistic, we are looking at our economy holistically. So then we do not import parts forever. We also explore our own minerals, make our own parts, then we are able to retire some of these tariffs as we build local capacity. But most importantly, I would want to understand whether the principal object of this amendment includes parts or it is just about fully imported transformers. And number two, Madam Speaker, as a lawyer, I will also be interested in knowing when is the effective date for this amendment. Is it immediately the Parliament passes and it is assented to by the President? Is it being backdated, or is it a future date? So that we are able also to, as we make these decisions, we know what it is that we are getting into. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Agnes Pereio, member for Narok North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the excess duty bill that will remove the 20% of the excess duty to import transformers and some parts to come and assemble transformers here in Kenya. Electricity is very important to our people and especially in the rural areas, because our young men are moving to towns because of looking for jobs. And the moment they will have electricity in their villages, they will also be able to create jobs for themselves. And when you look at a constituency like where I represent, we have secondary schools and learning institutions that are not connected to electricity. We have an example of the other day, a woman delivering in one of the maternity, and the matron was using her phone to assist the woman delivering. So when you see that in the health centers or in the hospitals, there is no electricity, then it means that supporting this bill will be important, because we will all have our villages connected. You cannot even tell what percentage that is connected in my constituency, because it is less than 10%. Because we still need electricity. And that's why I support this bill, to make sure that villages are connected, and to make sure that we all have electricity. We need electricity, and at the moment an MP goes to other work in your constituency, everybody will start approaching you because they all need electricity. So I support the bill.
Order, Honorable Pereio. I have a point of order by the Honorable Mwirigi, member for Igembe South. What is out of order, Honorable Mwirigi?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's not my intention to cut short my colleague, but I have risen to point of order, number 95, Madam Speaker. Reading the mood of this House, Madam Speaker, all members are supporting this exercise of duty. And I want to call upon the mover to be called to reply. Thank you.
Okay, I'll give a chance to the Honorable Pereyo to conclude, and then I'll find out whether it's the mood of the House that we close this motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me that opportunity to end by saying we need electricity. And our people in the rural areas are seriously in need of electricity, because electricity helps to reduce poverty in among our people. Our young people can create jobs for themselves. Women can use electricity at night to do their work. But these days, you find that our women are longing for electricity. And that's why I support the duty, the 20% excess duty to be reduced so that it can allow the local assembly of the transformers. And again, when we have our local assembled transformers, then it means we will reduce the theft of transformers, because there will be no market, because we already have transformers in our own villages, and it's going to be very cheap, and the government can afford to connect electricity in all our villages. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, the Honorable Murigi rose on a point of order and made reference to Standing Order number 95, indicating that the mover be called to reply. And I would like to find out whether that is the mood of the House. So I put the question that the mover be now called to reply. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to, before I reply, to donate, because I have 10 minutes, I donate.
Honorable members, making reference to our rules, when we call upon the mover to reply, based on Standing Order number 95, there is no opportunity for donation. Okay. So you proceed, mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Dr. Nyikala, I tried. But now we are bound by the same rules made by this House. So, Honorable Speaker, I would like to really thank the concern that members of Parliament have, members of National Assembly has had on this particular matter. We want to appreciate the quality of debate that has been made by all of you and the appreciation of the work that the committee is doing to make sure that we enhance local manufacturing, Honorable Speaker. I take note on one of the comments made by the Honorable Mutusa, Honorable Speaker. In our quest to, one of the questions we asked ourselves during this amendment, to ask ourselves, do we really have local assemblers and manufacturers of transformers in this country? Honorable Speaker, we had a visit to some of these particular farms, and we actually were able to establish that we have investors in this country who have invested heavily in assembling, and they're willing, once this law is passed, Honorable Speaker, to move into manufacturing of parts of our transformer, Honorable Speaker. As I said in my moving, Honorable Speaker, we must, as a country, become selfish and support our own, rather than becoming a supermarket of importation of products across the globe, Honorable Speaker. We must learn from what global leaders like the Americas have done and make sure that we are selfish to ourselves, and we make sure we support, Honorable Speaker, our own local manufacturing, Honorable Speaker. I like the cue made by Honorable Mutusa, Honorable Speaker, and I will urge National Treasury and the Ministry of Trade to further gazette regulations that Honorable Speaker will speak to, even for these parts that we're importing, that we're assembling here, a guideline on the dates in which the industry will put measures in place to make sure that even those parts are manufactured locally, Honorable Speaker. It is possible. When this Honorable House passed the law on exempting excise duty on imported parts of motorcycles, Honorable Speaker, there were regulations that followed that said even for those particular parts, having dates that when now those parts will have to be manufactured here, local Honorable Speaker. And I urge the Ministry of Treasury to work collaboratively with the Ministry of Trade, led by our very good CS and our former governor for Nakuru, the Honorable Lee Kenyatta, Honorable Speaker, to gazette now regulations that will even give specification to when even these parts that are imported will start to be local manufactured, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I got a report from so many of you, Honorable Speaker, asking about the finance bill of 2025. Honorable Speaker, it is really disheartening to see that you're back to where we were last year. I am seeing analysis on social media of people on the finance bill of 2025. And I'm wondering, that bill has not even had its chance to be in this house. It has not even been tabled. It must be somewhere on the drafting of the budget office under the Ministry of Treasury, Honorable Speaker. And it's really sad that people are already starting to debate and to disinform deliberately. And I say painfully, deliberately misinform and disinform this country. Let us be patient. Let us see the proposals that the Treasury is going to come up. And then I said, we are committed as a house to ensure that we have the views of the public heard, and their views will not be heard just for the sake of it, but they'll matter in the decision that the people's representative will pass in this House, Honorable Speaker. And with those many remarks, I beg to reply.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable members, I defer putting of the question to another time, as it will be scheduled by the House Business Committee. Next order.
Order number 12, the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2025, second reading.
Majority.
Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I had been carried away by somebody who was asking for the transformer. Now, Honorable Speaker, I beg
but
to
are
move.
you are prepared for this?
Yeah, I am. I
Okay,
am.
so you may proceed on behalf of the leader of the majority party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Bill 2025.